Josephine, the renowned actress, landed a coveted leading role in an S-level production, but her bland and indifferent personality during filming led to widespread mockery from netizens. As the villainous supporting actress, I was bullied by the entire crew, yet after the film's release, I gained a massive following. Netizens playfully dubbed me the actress whose luck was stolen. From then on, I received countless offers and gradually climbed to the pinnacle of my career. Josephine, on the other hand, was deeply affected by this. Her resources diminished, and she fell from grace. On the night I won a Grand Slam award, she deliberately drove into me, seeking mutual destruction. In my second life, she snatched my villainous role. Director, I really like the character Adele. Let Nora play Bonnie. She glanced at me secretly, her eyes filled with triumph. Little did she know, I was just laughing at her foolishness in my heart. An S-level production, a leading role, I would gladly take it. 1. The grand auditorium was dead silent, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone held their breath, staring at the award presenter on stage, all anticipating the best actress of this year. But the person kept the audience waiting, and after a long pause, they announced in a loud voice, "The best actress of this year is Nora." There was a brief silence in the venue, followed by thunderous applause. I walked onto the stage amidst the congratulations of the crowd and received my final major domestic award. 14 years since my debut, from an unknown supporting role to where I am today, only I know the hardships I've endured. With just this one award, I had completed the Grand Slam. I was so excited. I am honored to receive this award, but my journey doesn't end here. I will work even harder, reach higher artistic heights, and become a legend in the entertainment industry. The applause from the audience erupted again. I looked out, and everyone was beaming. Because I am friendly and have a good reputation in the industry, their congratulations to me were sincere. But my peripheral vision suddenly caught a glimpse of a venomous gaze shooting towards me from a corner. I followed the gaze, and the person had already left the venue, leaving only a back. I couldn't mistake that back. It was Josephine, the former movie queen. 2. To be honest, Josephine and I weren't very close. We only collaborated on a movie with a $100 million investment 10 years ago. The story of Forgetting Worry. She came with her own capital and was the object of everyone's pursuit and flattery on the set. And I was just a nobody, a role I fought hard to get. A vicious female supporting character, a persona that wasn't very likable. Even though I knew I might be scolded by the audience after the release, I cherished it, because it was the best resource I had at that time. Before joining the crew, I spent day and night studying the script and writing character biographies, all to portray this character as best I could. But I never expected that the things I experienced after the start of filming would become a shadow that I could never erase from my heart. After the wrap of the story of Forgetting Worry, I considered quitting the industry. Unexpectedly, the drama became a huge hit, but the character's reputation was polarized. Josephine's portrayal of Bonnie was a perfect example of a saintly white lotus, and she was mocked by the public. On the other hand, my portrayal of Adele resonated with the audience and received widespread praise. After that, I received countless offers and even signed with industry giant SJ Entertainment. 10 years have passed, and I have established myself at the forefront. Josephine, on the other hand, fell from grace and was later found to have evaded taxes and was banned. Logically, our lives should not have intersected again. How could she have appeared at the awards ceremony? 3. The ceremony ended, and for some reason, I felt uneasy. I looked out the car window at the night scene whizzing by inside. My agent, Ophelia, heard me and asked with a smile, "Why aren't you happy after winning the award?" I shook my head and looked away. "I'm just a little tired, I'll sleep for a while." I leaned against the seat and had just closed my eyes when I heard Ophelia's sharp shout in my ear. Then there was the sound of the car turning and the tires screeching against the ground. I opened my eyes subconsciously, wanting to see what was going on, and a blinding white light from the headlights shot into my eyes. Bang! A car from the opposite side was speeding towards us, and I suddenly felt the world spinning. Before I could feel the pain, my vision was filled with blood. In the last moment before I closed my eyes, I finally saw clearly that the person in the driver's seat of the opposite vehicle was Josephine. She was covered in blood, but was smiling viciously. 4. Director Lennox, I really like the character Adele. Let Nora play Bonnie. How can that be? How can you, a renowned actress, play a supporting role for her? Oh, actors are there to serve the characters, rankings don't matter. The voice became clearer and clearer. I opened my eyes in a daze and saw Josephine talking enthusiastically with the director. Adele? Bonnie? I frowned and looked around, only to realize that the furnishings in this room were strangely familiar. Isn't this the filming set of the story of Forgetting Worry 10 years ago? I looked at the two people in front of me again. Josephine no longer had the haggard look she had in the previous life. She looked completely refreshed. I fixed my gaze on the director and instantly recalled unpleasant memories. My lips were bitten until they bled. Please, Director Lennox, Josephine coquettishly said. The director pondered for a long time, then clapped his hands and said, As you wish, you play Adele, but as for Bonnie. He turned his gaze to me, his eyes full of contempt. Josephine laughed. Since filming is about to start, we can't find a suitable actress either, so let Nora try it. If it doesn't work, you can change it. The director nodded and pointed at me. Hey, did you hear me? I was still immersed in my hatred for Lennox and didn't react. Hey, can you hear me? You're just a newcomer. You really don't know the rules. I came to my senses and replied, suppressing the anger in my eyes. Okay, I'll definitely play Bonnie well. Lennox didn't say anything else and turned to leave the room. Josephine walked towards me with malicious intent. Sorry, Nora, for taking your role. I looked at her and smiled lightly. Where did you hear that? Instead, I should thank you for giving up the leading role and willingly being my supporting actress. Josephine's face immediately froze. Do you really think this is a good thing? Just wait and see. She turned and left, leaving me alone in the room. I staggered and collapsed on the sofa next to me. What's going on? I had just attended the awards ceremony. How could I be back 10 years ago? Right, the car accident. I held my head and finally remembered everything. It was Josephine who drove into me, and we died together. That's why I was reborn 10 years ago. And judging by Josephine's behavior just now, she must have been reborn too. That's why she snatched the popular role. Letting me play Bonnie is to make me be scolded and have no more roles to play, just like in her previous life. But she forgot that Bonnie was a Black Lotus in the original script, who was kind on the surface but sinister at heart. It was she who, relying on her capital and seniority, insisted on changing the character to be indifferent and uncompetitive. As long as I play the role according to the original script, Bonnie will definitely be more popular than Adele. I just laughed at Josephine's stupidity. She lived two lives, but only attributed the reason to the character itself. But since she gave me the leading role, how could I not take advantage of this card that was infinitely better than the last one? And Lennox, I will never repeat the tragedy of the previous life. 5. At the kickoff ceremony, the main creative team lined up on stage. Josephine took the C position first and stood with the male lead Kobe. Obviously, no one else knew that we had swapped roles. Kobe was frowning and discussing the script with her. Teacher Josephine, why did you change the part where the heroine finds evidence to exonerate her wrongly accused friend to letting her go to jail? Josephine said casually, I changed it, I think it's pretty good. But before Kobe could finish, Josephine interrupted. If you have any questions, go talk to the director. He agreed to change the script. Kobe was furious, but because of his status, he couldn't say much. I stepped forward and glanced at it roughly. I think the original plot is better. Teacher Kobe, let's just follow the original script. Kobe looked at me in confusion. I explained. Teacher Josephine and I have voluntarily swapped roles. In the future, when acting with you, please take good care of me. The confusion on Kobe's face deepened and turned into surprise. He stared at Josephine with wide eyes, as if saying she was crazy. Josephine crossed her arms and glared at me. Do you really think of yourself as the leading lady? You don't have a say here. I met her gaze. Kobe and I both think the original script is better. Why can't we follow the original script? Since you've decided to play Adele, you should focus on yourself. It's my business how to play Bonnie. What are you arguing about? The director heard the noise and came over. Josephine, as if seeing a backer, pounced on him. Director Lennox, I worked hard to rewrite the script, and Nora said she wouldn't act it out. Lennox said impatiently, if you don't act, there are plenty of people who will. I just want to act according to the original script, and Teacher Kobe and I both think the original plot is better. Kobe also interjected, yes, director, Teacher Nora has no intention of not acting. Lennox probably understood what happened and took a puff of his cigarette while looking at the script. Josephine said in a coquettish voice, Director Lennox, all of this is the result of my staying up late to write. In my heart, Bonnie is pure and noble. How can she personally fight with others? Lennox nodded. Just act according to this script. I hurriedly stopped him. Excuse me, has this script been reviewed by the investor? This movie was funded by SJ Entertainment, the largest entertainment company in the country. Jude, the boss of SJ Entertainment, attaches great importance to this movie and wants to take it to the next level with this movie. Lennox didn't answer, and I guessed that they had made the changes on their own. I said more firmly, I think we should first submit the script to the investor for consideration and let them choose the best script. Lennox said nothing. Of course, he could see that the script that Josephine had changed was of a much lower standard than the original one. But after all, the other party is a movie queen and also an artist of SJ Entertainment, so he has to give her some face. Changing one or two plots and mixing them up would be fine. But if he really wanted to tell the sponsor, he wouldn't be able to handle it himself. Forget it. Let's just follow the original script. Director Lennox, Josephine said anxiously. Lennox comforted her. Why don't you change Adele's plot? Josephine's face turned black, and she returned to the queue angrily. Kobe quickly pulled me up and pushed Josephine aside. Josephine stumbled and almost fell, shouting, You're standing in my place. Kobe snorted. No, it's usually the female lead who stands in the C position. You're just a supporting role. Josephine's face turned even blacker, and she pointed at him speechless. And Kobe leaned tightly against me, not allowing Josephine to find a gap to insert herself. I secretly gave Kobe a thumbs up in my heart. He is so good at talking. No wonder he is a top star. 6. It was my first scene with Josephine. In the plot, Adele discovers that the male lead and Bonnie are in love and goes to Bonnie's house and hits her. Slap. Josephine's slap landed heavily on my face. After the clear sound, the set was as quiet as a chicken. The director shouted, Cut. What's wrong with you, Josephine? Josephine bowed and apologized. Sorry, director, I forgot my lines. I licked my lips and smiled mockingly. It wasn't forgetting my lines. It was just that her expression wasn't right. She had used every excuse in the book. This scene was repeated 7 times, and I was slapped 7 times by her. She was clearly getting revenge on me, and she used all her strength for each slap. My cheeks were red and swollen, and my assistant came over to put on makeup. Josephine said softly, Sorry, I'm not feeling well today. Why don't we shoot it tomorrow? Your face is so swollen. I said in a deep voice, It's okay, let's continue. The director shouted action. We finished the previous lines, and she raised her hand again. But her eyes didn't contain the hatred that the character should have, but rather a sense of satisfaction. Only this time, I didn't let her slap fall, but grabbed her wrist in midair. A flash of panic appeared in her eyes, and she tried to pull her hand away, but I held it tighter. I held it until veins popped out of her palm, and she let out a muffled groan in pain. I took a step forward and slapped her. I slapped her directly to the ground. She covered her face full of disbelief. I looked down at her and said, What do you think you are? Dare to be presumptuous in front of me? With each sentence I said, I gave her another slap, a total of 7 times. I returned them all to her, and she had forgotten everything else, crying loudly and begging me to stop. I advise you to give up your little tricks. You don't need Isaac. I can kill you silently. 7. Cut. The director clapped his hands and smiled. Good, good. Bonnie's emotions are very strong. This scene was beautifully acted. He also praised Josephine. Adele is very good too. She cried so realistically at the end. It was indeed real. Both of her cheeks were swollen, and she probably wouldn't be able to see anyone for the next week. However, Adele didn't have many scenes, and the next few days would be focused on the male and female leads. With this scene finished, my work for the day was done. I planned to leave and go back to the hotel to prepare for tomorrow's scenes. But then, the director came over and handed me a room card. "Come to my room tonight. I want to discuss some of the plot with you." He patted me on the shoulder and left with a lewd smile. As I held the room card, a wave of disgust washed over me, almost making me sick. It was the same in my previous life. I can't remember which scene it was after, but he gave me a room card and said he wanted to discuss the plot with me. I was too naive at the time and didn't understand the unspoken rules of the entertainment industry. So I went. I don't want to recall that night. I wanted to report him, but he threatened me with private photos. I said I wanted to quit the crew, but he asked me to pay a huge penalty. I had no choice but to grit my teeth and finish filming this scene. I originally wanted to quit the industry, but unexpectedly, the movie became a big hit and brought me a lot of resources. Lennox, who had done many evil deeds, was arrested and imprisoned for sexually harassing a female actress. I looked at the room card and threw it into the grass in disgust. After walking a few steps, I thought of something and went back to pick it up. If I avoided him today, he would keep bothering me like a fly. Instead, I might as well take the initiative and find evidence of his crime. 8. I sat on the sofa in the hotel lobby, staring intently at the door. I was waiting for someone. From dusk to night, I watched the clock, my expression getting darker and darker. Wasn't he coming? During this time, Lennox sent me many messages asking when I would arrive. I kept putting him off by saying I was on my way. Seeing that it was almost 10 o'clock, I decided to give up. I didn't dare go to the appointment alone. Just as I took out my phone to send Lennox a message about canceling the appointment, the figure I had been waiting for finally appeared at the door. I seized the opportunity and rushed over, bumping into him. He quickly helped me up, and the moment our eyes met, we both said at the same time, "It's you." How could he say that too? We didn't even know each other at this time. I raised an eyebrow and asked, "President Jude, do you know me? Your performance on the set today left a deep impression on me." The person I was waiting for was Jude, the boss of SJ Entertainment. In my previous life, I won his favor and signed with his company. Unlike other bosses who were only interested in profit, he was very cultured and insightful. We were more like a bull and a 1,000-mile horse than a boss and a subordinate. I am most grateful to him for being able to win the Grand Slam. He asked, "Where are you going so late?" My eyes flickered, and I said what I had been brewing in my heart. Director Lennox asked me to go to his room to discuss the plot. I deliberately took out the room card and waved it in front of him. Sure enough, Jude's expression immediately darkened when he heard this. They were all in the same circle, and he naturally knew what kind of person Lennox was. If it weren't for his outstanding business abilities, he wouldn't want to cooperate with him. He had already warned him not to cause trouble, but he didn't listen at all. Jude took me to the elevator. "I also want to talk to Director Lennox about something. Let's go together." I nodded and pressed the elevator button first. 9. Lennox's suite has a separate bedroom and living room. I swiped my card and went in. There was no one in the living room. I asked Jude to sit outside and wait while I went to knock on the bedroom door. Before I could knock twice, the door was pulled open. Lennox was wearing a bathrobe, with his chest open, and you could clearly see his potbelly. I turned my head away, unable to bear looking. His lecherous eyes kept wandering over me, completely unaware that there was someone else outside. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me into the room. His fingertips secretly scratched my skin. I broke free without a trace and consciously kept a distance from him. "Director Lennox, what did you want to talk to me about?" He poured me a glass of wine. "Young people are just too career-oriented. Let's chat for a while first." As he spoke, he brought the wine to my mouth. I had drunk this glass of wine in my previous life, and then I was so drunk that I let him do whatever he wanted. I pushed it away and accidentally spilled all the red wine on me. It soaked through my front. Lennox's eyes lit up, his lust flared, and he lost patience. Now that you're here, don't you know what to do? I shook my head. Isn't it to discuss the plot? We're all in the entertainment industry. Why are you pretending to be innocent? I pretended to be enlightened. You want to sleep with me? Lennox saw that I was taking the bait, grinned, and was about to come over and strip me. Yes. But I pushed him away hard. But I don't want to sleep with you. You're breaking the law by doing this. I can sue you. He seemed to hear a joke and put his hands on his hips. I've slept with so many female stars. Who dares to sue me? I advise you to be obedient. Otherwise, I'll kick you out of the crew, and you can forget about playing Bonnie. I smiled lightly. Really? Just then, the bedroom door was opened. Jude walked in and stared at Lennox. Director Lennox has a lot of power. 10. Lennox was instantly flustered and quickly covered his bathrobe, flattering. President Jude, why didn't you say anything when you came? I should have entertained you better. Jude smiled. It's just that I came at an inopportune time, and I interrupted your good time. As he spoke, he walked towards me and took off his coat to put it on me. No. Lennox was about to say something when he saw Jude's actions. His face stiffened even more. I didn't know Miss Nora was someone you knew. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have dared. I interjected. So if it's an artist without a background, you can do whatever you want. Lennox was speechless. Jude continued. I just heard you say you want to replace Miss Nora. No. Lennox quickly waved his hand. Miss Nora is an artist under my company, and only Miss Nora can play the role of Bonnie. Director Lennox, please be careful with your words. Don't ruin yourself before the movie is finished. Otherwise, I will not only make you pay liquidated damages, but also all my losses. Yes. Lennox nodded like a garlic clove. He sent Jude and me out of the room respectfully. When we parted, Jude said to me, I will have my assistant send you the contract. I hope you won't disappoint me. I smiled. Of course, you're signing a future Grand Slam actress. You're quite arrogant. He snorted. Remember to return the clothes after you've washed them. I watched him leave and muttered softly, You're still as stingy as you were in the last life. Back in the room, I took off the hidden camera from my collar and copied the video to my computer. I also made several backups. I also took the clothes stained with red wine and put them in a bag, planning to send them for testing sometime. This time, I must personally send Lennox to prison. 11. Lennox, thinking that I have a deep relationship with Jude, dared not have any bad thoughts anymore. He was also more polite to me than before. The filming for the past half-month has been quite smooth, until Josephine returned. After finishing a fight scene, I wiped the sweat that kept dripping from my forehead and sat down on a chair. I casually picked up a water cup nearby, and as soon as I opened it, a frog jumped out. I was startled. I subconsciously looked around and saw a female actress not far away quickly look away guiltily. I remember her, Josephine's loyal follower. She was also one of the people who bullied me with Josephine in my previous life. My assistant quickly apologized to me. Sorry, Nora. I don't know when this frog got in. I reassured her. It's okay, it's not your fault. Seeing that I didn't blame her, she was very moved. I'll go get you another cup right now. I nodded, then grabbed the frog that had fallen on me and threw it directly at the small actress. She jumped in fright. Are you crazy? Sorry, I don't know how a frog got into my water cup. I was so scared, I accidentally threw it at you. She looked at me resentfully. You clearly did it on purpose. I sneered. I hope I don't see any more poisonous insects or snakes. I'll really throw them around randomly if I'm scared. I patted her shoulder and turned to leave. 12. I thought a warning would be enough to make them stop. But I didn't expect this to be just the beginning of their isolation of me. I don't know when, the atmosphere around me became strange. When I asked someone to rehearse with me, they all made excuses to leave. And they wouldn't tell me about any sudden changes to the schedule. But I wasn't angry. These tricks were far inferior to those in my previous life. I don't know where I offended Josephine, but she led the entire crew to bully me. The acting was fake, but the beating was real. They used the excuse of filming to carry out the punishments in the script on me. And some would even repeat them countless times. No one would pity me. Everyone in the crew seemed to be in character. I was the evil woman who deserved to die and be bullied by everyone. The more miserable I was, the more enjoyable it was for them. Fortunately, I wouldn't let anyone bully me again in this life. I stopped asking people to rehearse with me, focused on studying the script, and had my assistant pay special attention to any news. I seemed to become an outsider in the crew, with no presence at all except when filming. I thought it would be like this until the end of filming, but I didn't expect an accident to happen. 13. The most important scene was to be filmed last, and this scene required a night rain. The crew had been paying close attention to the weather and had scheduled this scene for tomorrow. But the weather forecast suddenly changed, and the heavy rain that was supposed to fall tomorrow arrived early tonight. When the crew informed the director, he was in the middle of shooting. He asked the staff to send me a message, changing tomorrow night's scene to tonight. Josephine intercepted the message at that moment, causing me to miss it. When the director called, his angry voice seemed to be about to blow the roof off. "Nora, don't you want to shoot anymore?" I hurried to the scene. "I'm sorry, Director Lennox. I didn't know the notice had been changed," he said angrily. "I told someone to notify you, and you said you didn't know? The whole crew is waiting for you, big star." I instantly understood the reason and looked at Josephine. Sure enough, she had a smug look on her face. But I didn't dare waste time confronting her, so I could only say, "Director, let's start shooting." Lennox didn't say anything else and sat in front of the camera. But before they could start shooting, the rain stopped. He cursed loudly. "There's been little rain recently, and if we miss this chance, who knows how long we'll have to wait, Nora. If we can't finish shooting, can you be responsible?" I had to endure his scolding. After all, I was indeed at fault. But I couldn't take the blame for nothing either. "Director, I really didn't receive the message. Who did you ask to send it to me?" He turned to the person behind him. "Herbert, did you send it?" Herbert, who was suddenly asked, panicked and stammered, I sent it." I took out my phone, found his interface, and showed it to the director. You see, the last message was still last week. The director took the phone and scrolled down, frowning. Herbert argued, "You must have deleted it." I sneered, "Then take out your phone and have a look." He hesitated. I sarcastically said, "You didn't accidentally delete it too, did you?" He was so thick-skinned that I was speechless. Just as the atmosphere was tense, Jude came out. "Take the phones for data recovery, and we'll know who's lying." He waved his hand, and his assistant came to take our phones. I handed it over immediately, but Herbert hesitated. Jude continued, "When we find out who the problem is, I will ban him from the entire industry." Herbert trembled with fear. Jude was known for being a man of his word in the industry, and if he offended him, his future would be ruined. He quickly stepped forward and pointed at Josephine. "I'm sorry, President Jude. It was all Miss Josephine who asked me to do this." Jude looked at Josephine, his eyes narrowed, and there was an inexplicable meaning in his tone. "Why did she do this?" Herbert spilled the beans. "Miss Josephine doesn't like Miss Nora, so she asked the whole crew to isolate her and cut off contact with Miss Nora. You just listen to her. Except for the director, she has the biggest status in the whole crew. How dare we offend her? And besides, who doesn't know that she is the #1 sister of SJ Entertainment? If we offend her, aren't we offending you?" Jude smiled and said casually, "The #1 sister of SJ Entertainment? Who made her that?" He waved to his assistant behind him. "Send the termination contract to the #1 sister tomorrow, and SJ Entertainment will pay all the liquidated damages." Josephine widened her eyes in disbelief. "President Jude, are you going to terminate the contract with me for Nora?" Jude nodded. "I'm a movie queen. I can bring huge value to SJ Entertainment. You can't terminate the contract with me." Jude walked over to me. "But I think Miss Nora can bring you more value. I believe that within 2 years, Miss Nora can become the real #1 sister of our SJ Entertainment." As soon as these words were said, the whole audience was in an uproar. No one expected that Jude would publicly humiliate Josephine for an unknown and nameless newcomer. In an instant, the balance in everyone's heart tilted. Seeing that Josephine had lost her backing, Everyone quietly distanced themselves from her. Seeing this, the director also understood that I had a special status in Jude's heart, and he became more polite to me. "I wronged you today, I apologize." I took a deep breath. "It's a pity that the rain stopped. I don't know when we can shoot." "Right now," Jude said. I tilted my head and looked at him in confusion. He smiled and clapped his hands. In no time, a torrential downpour poured down like a waterfall. Artificial rain. He raised his palm to block the rain. "Hurry up and shoot, don't waste my money." I had already memorized this scene, and I passed it in one take. 14. For the last 10 days, I've experienced unprecedented care from the crew members. But I don't want to take advantage of this to fit in. I just want to end it quickly. Those who used to fawn over Josephine are now chasing after me. They know that we don't get along, so they consciously isolate Josephine and try to please me. And Josephine can only swallow her anger. She, who originally loved wearing bright clothes, has been extremely plain recently, for fear of attracting attention. Because since that night, her title has changed from Teacher Josephine to #1 sister. It sounds extremely ironic. This huge gap made Josephine so angry that she wanted to find another car to run me over. But she still held back, because she knew that when the drama aired, I would definitely be cursed to death by the audience, while she would rise smoothly and become an existence that others in the industry could never reach. 15. Before the drama aired, SJ Entertainment spent a lot of money promoting the story of Forgetting Worry. This did indeed make it a hot topic before it even aired, and its popularity remained high. However, the most controversial thing was the choice of the female lead. Who is this Nora, who can have so many top stars supporting her? I heard that the original female lead was Josephine. Everyone knows there's some shady business going on here. Previously, I was just a small transparent figure, with only a few 100,000 fans on Weibo, and many of them were zombie fans. As the heat continued to rise, countless comments poured in. "Boycott Nora, how dare you, don't you see if you're qualified?" The entertainment industry is so easy to get into nowadays. Anyone can be the female lead, the domestic entertainment industry is doomed. My assistant was so angry at these comments that she couldn't help but retort. Nora is the original second female lead, Adele, and it was Ms. Josephine who volunteered to switch roles. It wasn't any shady deal, spreading rumors is illegal. Seeing her arguing for me, I felt both comforted and amused. I took the phone away and comforted her. "It's okay, look, I've gained over 2 million fans in the past few days. Sister Nora, they're all black fans, and some people say you got the role through unspoken rules." I shook my head with a smile. Black fans are fans too. Even if I become a movie queen, there will still be people who will scold me. I've come to terms with this a long time ago. My agent, Ophelia, sighed. "In this situation, we can only take a cold approach and wait until the movie is released to see." 16. Compared to my gloomy and miserable situation, Josephine was refreshed and invigorated. She took advantage of the fact that she was relegated to a supporting role to play the victim and gain sympathy from her fans. She also saw the comment posted by my assistant and pushed it to the top comments. She bribed marketing accounts to post. "You might have scolded the wrong person." Insiders have revealed that it was Josephine who voluntarily switched roles. This topic was pushed to the top of the hot search list, and netizens urged Josephine to come out and prove herself. As if she had been prepared, Josephine waited until the heat reached its peak before finally posting a clarification. "I'm just an actor." Yes, she's just an actor, who has the right to decide who plays a role. In addition, with someone fueling the fire, they dug up the original comment posted by my assistant. Everyone was even more convinced that I was the one who started the war and overturned. My comment section was completely flooded. Some people are too good at taking advantage of the situation. "Take Josephine away. Sister doesn't want you. Josephine just acted in a movie, but it's as if she's been imprisoned." I thought these malicious comments would continue until the premiere, but unexpectedly, they subsided after a few days. I took out my phone and clicked on Jude's interface. "Thank you." The reply came quickly. "For helping you so much, just a verbal thank you?" The premiere is tomorrow. Do you want to come? Okay. 17. Almost the entire crew was at the premiere. There were also many industry professionals at the scene, and they had high expectations for this film. The rest were ordinary audiences. For me, the public's reaction was far more important than anyone else's. I arrived at the screening room early and waited for Jude at the door. Josephine came at the same time. As soon as she saw me, the corners of her lips curled up to the sky. "Why doesn't my little sister go in? Are you scared?" she said to herself. "I know you've been scolded badly recently. If it were me, I wouldn't dare to come out and face people, for fear of being beaten to death on the street, haha." I didn't bother to pay attention to her, and looked towards Jude, who was walking over, and went to meet him. Seeing this, Josephine also hurried forward, trying to show herself in front of Jude. "President Jude, I." But Jude didn't even look at her, and went straight into the screening room with me. Leaving Josephine alone outside, she stomped her feet angrily. "Just wait. I'll be the one who wins the Grand Slam in this lifetime." 18. The lights in the screening room went out, and the big screen lit up. I was also incredibly excited about this movie, because with a different role, the feeling was also different. At the beginning, there was a thrilling fight scene. I heard occasional gasps and admiration from all around, and my tense mood finally calmed down. When the climax came, many of the audience sat up straight and stared intently at the screen. And when they saw the tragedy, many people shed tears. When the lights came on again, there was a round of applause in the room. The creative team took the stage and answered questions from the audience. Most of the questions were centered around the character Bonnie, and the feedback was all positive. I answered the audience's questions continuously and clearly. After answering a question from a famous director, he nodded and praised me, saying that I was about to win an award. And Josephine was completely ignored. The Adele she played was ordinary and unremarkable. Everyone present was an important figure in the industry, and no one would give her extra face just because she was a movie queen. 19. The first day box office of The Story of Forgetting Worry was dismal. Many people boycotted it because of me, but good wine needs no bush. Those who watched it said it was good, a rare good film in recent years. The video of the famous director commenting on my promising future at the premiere also circulated online. This aroused even more interest among many people. The box office was getting higher day by day and showed no signs of decline. Until the last day, the box office reached a new high, becoming an unstoppable dark horse in the film industry this year. My fans exceeded 10 million. The comments below were all positive. No wonder Nora can be the leading role. She has both the looks and the ability. Nora is simply the chosen Bonnie. I'm looking forward to your next drama, sister. I will definitely support it. However, there were still some black fans jumping around. No matter what, Josephine is a senior. Shouldn't she come out and explain why she was robbed of the leading role? And this character's personality is so good. Anyone could have made it a hit. I sneered at these comments. The reason why I didn't come forward to clarify was that I wanted to wait until the heat reached its peak. After all, I was a nobody before, and no one would believe me no matter how I explained it. I found the surveillance footage of Josephine and the director proposing to exchange roles, and posted it online. I also published the script she had changed, allowing netizens to compare it for themselves. In an instant, the balance tipped. Countless scolding voices poured into Josephine's comment section like a flood. Who said she was just an actor before? What a powerful actress she is. Fortunately, Bonnie didn't let her play it. The revised script is simply a piece of chocolate shit. By the way, the Adele she played was like a tool for the female lead to be bullied, and it seemed like she was not in the same world as everyone else. Later, insiders from the crew also revealed that Josephine led the entire crew to isolate Nora, but was slapped in the face by the boss of SJ Entertainment. The comments became even more heated. It was almost a carnival. The more you dig, the more you find. I didn't expect Josephine to be this kind of person. No wonder there were no shots of Nora in the bloopers. It turns out she was being isolated, poor sister. Josephine was so angry that she almost smashed everything she could in the house. She couldn't figure out why. no matter if she played Bonnie or Adele. In the end, it was me who became famous, and she was the one who was scolded. 20. Just like in my past life, my net worth soared, and I was also nominated for Best Actress at the JM Awards. But before the award ceremony, there was one more thing I had to do. In my previous life, it was a short time before the awards ceremony that Lennox sexually harassed an actress. Later, the actress exposed it herself, but due to lack of evidence, she couldn't bring him down, and he was at large for several years. This time, I wouldn't let him off so easily. I sold the news to reporters early on, so they could catch him with their pants down, and they did not disappoint me and caught him on the spot. I also joined forces with the artists who had been victimized by him to sue him. With the evidence I had collected before, it was enough to ruin him for the rest of his life, and he could only spend the rest of his life in prison. The police followed the clues and implicated many other bad elements, including Josephine. For a time, many people entered the entertainment industry, cleaning up the industry's atmosphere. 21. At the awards ceremony, the big screen flashed through the nominations for Best Actress. Jude, sitting next to me, whispered, "Are you confident?" "Of course, I told you I'm going to be a Grand Slam actress." He chuckled softly. His throat moved slightly, as if he had been brewing it for a long time before saying, "You once said that I was your bowl, but I don't want to be just your bowl." Question mark. I widened my eyes and pointed at him incredulously. "You." At this moment, the presenter on stage said, "The best actress of this year is Nora." The screen cut to me. I was stunned, not because of winning the award, but because of Jude's words. I haven't said this to him in this life. He is also reborn. No wonder he would help me without hesitation. No wonder we feel like old friends, even though we haven't been together for long. It turns out we were old acquaintances. Once again, I stepped onto the stage amid the applause and accepted the heavy trophy. This is the beginning for me, but it won't be the end. I am very grateful to everyone who has been supporting me behind the scenes. Thank you. Following the trajectory of my previous life, I restarted my life. Only this time, I walked more calmly and confidently, and I'm no longer alone, making up for many shortcomings. From now on, only a brilliant star career remains.